I just want to go over the game. I want to talk about the Breakers against the Sixers. Um, Coming into it, I went to the game. Obviously, I wasn't even expecting Embiid to play, and then Paul George wasn't playing either, so they were both out. So just Maxi started with the crew. Overall, it was a preseason game with the NBL team that's not in the NBA, so there's only so much I can expect. But going to the game was just like, I'm not here to see Maxi score 15, 20 points. I'm here to see what Justin Edwards can do off the bench and what
Mm.
Lester Keone's if he can really shoot off the dribble. And like I'm worried about all these other players to see like I need to see that they're gonna be good role players or like they can develop into something. So it was I saw a lot of things that I was impressed by, but also it's like my impressed level was only so much because of like I need to see you do this against good NBA talent, obviously, to see if you're not a bum because you can obviously play. But the only two players, and Justin Edwards is one of them, but I didn't do enough research about the game last night to like match up my statistics and everything like that. But him and Jared McCain, he had. If you didn't watch the game and you just looked at the box score, you would think he had a good game. But just like I'll just talk about him for McCain. So I don't know how long you watched the game, but obviously me being there, I saw the whole time he was in. He is what we were talking about on the first episode, such a liability on the defensive end. It's insane.
Yeah.
And his capability of making a layup or anything inside of the three for that matter is almost non existent. And it's just like Bull was 5'10", 5'11", guarding Jared McCain, like could not get by him at all. He doesn't look competent enough to get to the basket for whatever reason. Obviously because of his size, but he's still like beefy. Like he should be able to get in there. Now,
Hmm.
everything outside of that, he looked fine. He got what,
Yeah.
10 points and he was shooting the lights out. Like what we were pretty close, and like even seeing him like just like swerving corners, his hands were like this the entire game. He didn't do anything else but this, and he was knocking them down, which he should be doing. But just like that's what I was relaying in the first episode. I'm like, if you're not hitting this, you're not hitting anything. So why would we want you on the floor?
Well,
So
that's what he's going to be. His
yeah,
role in this season is going to be floor spacing, shooting the three.
right.
I don't expect him to have a huge role in this offense outside of that.
No, I mean, I guess I was expecting a little bit too much of him, but I just thought like if you're what, 6'2", 6'3", you should be able to get a bucket on a 28-year-old that's 5'10", 5'11". But
Yeah, he
that
young
guy
man.
was hooping though. Bull,
He
he had
young
like
man.
26 on him.
That's also with you know, in the NBA, guys are always um not a lot of guys hit the NBA and just go immediately. You
Uh-huh.
only get so many Victor Wembanyama's, and especially not where the Sixers are picking in the draft.
Right.
Like you're outside of your top 10, you start, you know, that's where your recruiting and your scouting team really start to show. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you can find a guy who makes an instant impact on your team outside of the top 10 in the first round in the NBA, like you did your due diligence. Like with Maxi,
Right.
you know,
Right.
Maxi fell, and it was a little. Maxi probably shouldn't even have fell that far. Even on draft night, people were shocked he fell as far as he did. But
Mm-hmm.
props to the Sixers for recognizing he was the best. He was by far the best player available there and
Right.
taking him.
Yeah, like even what's his name on the Lakers, Dalton Connect. Like watching his preseason game, I think it was against the Suns or somebody else. It's just like we could have had him. Obviously, we don't know what he's going to develop into, but like he's a big forward that can shoot and is willing to get to the rim. But we
I
picked
know
up
that's who I want.
6'3" Jared McCain that does TikToks. Like, what are we doing?
Hey
So,
man,
I
yeah, no,
I
that's
don't
who I
know.
wanted. I wanted the Sixers to end up with him. I saw a lot of mock drafts having him
Yeah, yeah.
come to us, and I liked watching him in college.
He reminded me when I was watching the draft. I think I was watching it when I was up in Philly one night. He reminded me of like when Michael Porter Jr. was getting drafted and like how far he dropped of I don't even remember what pick he was, but it was just like they were talking about Dalton Connect of like we're surprised he still didn't get picked yet. And I'm like, oh, I don't know who he is, but you know, watching some of his highlights and watching how he plays, I'm like, oh yeah, like why is he not? Why has he not been picked yet? But you know, Lakers might get a steal with him being at the 17th pick.
I remember watching ESPN years ago
Hmm.
and seeing at the bottom of the ticker, it said Jason Tatum declares for NBA draft, ranked as 16th prospect. I was like, if he makes it to 16, I was like, I'll cut my hand off. Like, I was like, that man is a. Watching him in college, like it was like this guy's a shoe in for a top 5 pick in the NBA. And then as it got closer and closer to draft day, he started rising up the board.
Obviously, I wasn't watching much college basketball back then. But do you think Lonzo Ball deserved to be top 3 out of that draft class? Not knowing what you know now about how all of them developed, but just like at the time, him coming out of UCLA, did he deserve to be top 3?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even. That was the Markel Fultz, right? That's when we had the
Yes.
number one. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
and I didn't even know. I didn't even know how good he was coming out because I'm pretty sure like even De'Aaron Fox was coming out of that draft. Like I don't know everybody specific, but I'm just like I don't remember. I remember hearing his name because of that's when like his dad and his whole family was popping and stuff like that. I'm like, is he getting top 3 because of that, or was he like better than all these other guys in the draft?
I think his dad's influence on it did have a little bit to do with it, but you'd be doing a disservice to Lonzo Ball. He was like that at UCLA.
Hmm.
He showed the talent. Yeah, there was no question. You can debate should he have gone second overall? Probably not. Hindsight's always 2020. Now, if you went back, obviously, Jason Tatum's going first overall.
Hate
No,
that
Lonzo
day.
Ball was like that in college. It wasn't just his dad hyping him up. His play hyped him up as well. He was a good player.
Yeah, that that will always haunt me to the day that I die. Well, well, that was a tangent. But going back to talking about the Sixers, talking about Justin Edwards, um, forget what type of contract he's on. I don't know if it's a 2-way or a 10-day or what, but he looked like he didn't impress me. I know like talking about they were talking about him last year a lot and he was getting like a lot of buzz from like, you know, Sixers pages and Sixers media. And I was like, I don't know who Justin Edwards was and then watching him like okay. And then just watching him last night of like they had a full lineup of it was like Edwards, McCain, Bona, uh Keones and I think like Max Fielder or like Judah Mintz or like it was just a bunch of guys that aren't gonna get minutes is basically what it was.
Yeah,
But it's just like
dudes if you playing G League.
right, and I'm like I think Justin Edwards got signed towards the end of the year or whatever it was that he got signed towards. It's just like okay, so you've got a little bit more experience than these guys, and him just against that competition, I'm pretty sure he only had like 6 points and 2 of them were off of free throws. Like him with the ball coming down, it just like I don't know if he was getting hacked or what, but he doesn't look like he can dribble drive straight to the basket or like do any type of moves like anything in his bag to get to the cup. I was just watching him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I remember a lot of buzz from this guy. Like I know, like I've heard his name. I know he's probably like somewhat decent, but I'm just like I don't see anything special from him. So I just felt like I expected a little bit more from him too. And other all the other guys were pretty solid. Like Adem Bona did what I thought he would do: get a couple rebounds, play good defense, get a dunk in. That's what he did.
Yeah,
Um,
Yabusele had a nice game.
Yabusele had a great game. Shot
Yeah.
100%. I think he had like 15 points or something like that. But again,
Yep.
he's used to playing in the NBA. He's played overseas. Like he understands it. So that's somebody that I expect you to get. Like you go get your buckets against those type of guys. We beat him by like what 70 or something, 50, 60. Like you need to go get your
Yeah.
buckets. So you know who I really like looking at too. obviously I don't want to keep going back to the point of like it's NBA versus NBL and that shouldn't really matter, but you can see some type of intensity of like no dude wants to get beat by these guys coming down. So on the defensive end, that's where I'm like really looking at them. Offensive, I could care less in a preseason game, but defense, I'm like you don't want to get scored on by a bum that nobody knows their name or a 5'10" dude, which he was hooping and had almost 30 on them, which was kind of crazy, but that's besides the point. Um, but you can see it in like Caleb Martin's eyes and like even Eric Gordon's eyes. Like we were talking about Eric Gordon, it's just like, oh yeah, he's not really gonna be too active or like get in people's face. Like he's active, and Caleb Martin is active. Like he's up in people's grill. Like first, like it's in the second quarter and like 7 minutes left to go. Like he's still up in people's faces while he's getting time. So it's good to see like the intensity is still there regardless of who he's playing against. Like he's not trying to get, shamed on by like some bum or like, like they're still trying to keep their pride, which I like to see. So overall it was a good game. I think I just expect a little bit more from our G League guys. Um, it is what it is. They're going to be in the G League. I don't expect them to do anything for us this season, but it would be nice if they could, like a Ricky Council. Like we're obviously going to see Jared McCain later this year, and I would assume we're probably going to see a Bona later this year, and maybe even Justin Edwards later this year. So just watching those type of guys, it was nice to watch them. But
I'm
yeah,
excited for the year, man. I think they're going to be a good team.
no, it was good overall. Going to see them play the Brooklyn Nets on 16th, I think. Maybe Ben Simmons plays in that game, which would be really funny if he does. Maybe not, and then they're just playing a bunch of bums, but who knows. We got yelled at so bad for not mentioning Paige when we were talking about Juju the other week. And I've got at least, obviously, we're nobody compared to anybody online, but we got like 5 to 7 comments about Paige. And like, we got Juju Watkins, the best or the new face of women's college basketball, and everybody's like, Paige is better, Paige is better. I'm getting GIF responses of Paige on it. I'm like, okay.
And she probably is better.
Yeah.
She had completely slipped my mind.
Yeah.
Funny, I know more college female basketball players, I feel like, than WNBA players.
Mm-hmm.
But
They're just on the come up right now. That's why.
I seen Juju just signed a huge Nike deal today too.
I think she re-signed. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Kids is getting paid, man.
Yes, they are. Good for them. Yep, the vicious Philly sports cycle. Phillies are letting me down, so now I'm looking forward to the Sixers.